Came from a family. My dad was a precision engineer, so he would do everything around the house, anything that needed making, fixing.
Yeah.
You know, the kitchen table was always crafts. My mum, potato printing, paper mache. You know, we were always making things.
Yeah. Hi, welcome to today's Ask Austin. Today I'm speaking to Kate Coker from Kate Coker Jewellery. Hi Kate, how are you?
Hi Austin, I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, well, I'm a jewellery designer and maker, have been for quite a long time now. I, excuse me, I make jewellery in precious metals, so silver and gold predominantly, and everything's handmade, using traditional techniques. I studied jewellery making at college, so I did actually train, but a lot of it is self-taught.
Okay.
Over the years. I started out doing it part-time, then had my children and kept it going part-time, and then I've been running the business as it is full-time for probably about the last 10 years.
Oh, excellent. So my next question was, what made you get into jewellery? But you've kind of half answered that. Is it something that always kind of interested you, and you thought you'd give it a go, or you know?
Not so much jewellery. I was always the sort of kid that made stuff. Came from a family. My dad was a precision engineer, so he would do everything around the house, anything that needed making, fixing.
Yeah.
You know, the kitchen table was always crafts. My mum, potato printing, paper mache. You know, we were always making things.
Yeah.
So for me, I loved art at school and I loved to create. I didn't go to college straight from school because wasn't very confident. And when I told the careers advisor I wanted to go to art college, she just said to me, "Do you know how many unemployed art students there are?" This was mid-80s, and that was her in my head saying, "No, don't." So I worked in an office for a few years and hated it. So I didn't actually get back to doing, I did evening class A-level art. I was about 21. And at the same time, I discovered a silversmithing evening class, which I went along to. Absolutely fell in love with it. And decided this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I applied to college then. So I was about 22 when I went back to do it full time. Yeah.
What is it you enjoy most about making jewellery, and what do you least like about it?
The thing I like most, I suppose, is there are two things really. One is working with metal itself. I mean, I love that. You start off with this hard, unforgiving material. I can make something so delicate and precious and beautiful from it. You know, I just love working with it. But also that jewellery is such a personal thing, and that it can represent such special meanings, you know, engagement, marriage, special birthdays, things passed down through your family, you know. I think when you are a maker of whatever medium you work in, you tend to put your heart and soul into it. And I love the fact that I do that, and I know that it's hopefully going to last a long time. You know, if something's made in gold, somebody's hopefully not going to just chuck it away. You know, they're going to treasure it, and I love that fact. Yeah.
Excellent.
As for what I don't like, I suppose one of the downsides is costs involved. Raw materials, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
So you can't really afford to experiment like mad, or make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Although obviously it can all be melted down. That's a good thing. You know, there's no waste. But when I remember when I started out, you really want to experiment, have a go with lots of different things, and just the cost to buy it stopped you doing it really. So, and also the other thing I found that is a big thing, is the responsibility you feel sometimes. If I'm doing like a remodeling job and you've been given somebody's precious great grandmother's gold ring, you know, and I've got to then do something with it, melt it out, you know, it can be quite scary.
Yeah, I can imagine. You don't want to get that wrong. Yeah, excellent. So what does a normal day look like for you? Do you have your own studio in the house, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I have a studio on the back end of the house. I'm no good whatsoever to get up in the morning and go straight out there. I have to go out. I have to create myself a little routine, like I'm going to work. So I'm very lucky where I live. We live in a small market town on the Thames, and so it takes me 10 minutes to walk into the town. And I'll often go to a local coffee shop, or my friends own the local pub, have a coffee, or even if the weather's nice, go and sit on a bench by the river. You know, work out what I need to do during the day. And it just makes me feel that when I come back, I can settle down on my own and work all day at my bench, if that's what I've got planned for the day. Otherwise, I think, because you might not necessarily see anybody all day, sometimes it's hard to be motivated. So I find I have this little routine. That's what I do. I go out and then I come back, and it depends on whether I've got commissions to do, time scales, whether I'm doing a show and I've got stock to make. So I try and work out my week, what I need to do each day. Paperwork and that sort of stuff comes bottom of the list.
Yeah, I think we're all bad for that. We all let it mount up, and then we spend a full Sunday fixing it.
Yeah, nightmare. I mean, I'm terrible. Once I get at my bench, I don't want to move, you know. That's my love. I could sit there and the hours tick by, you know. So having kids is obviously they shout when they're hungry, although mine are, I've only got one at home now because one's at uni. But yes, I used to be awful, you know. You'd sit there and the hours would pack away. But I'm lucky to be able to have, you know, the studio at home, so that, you know, I can do other things as well.
Yeah, especially with lockdown as well. You know.
Yes.
That would have been a nightmare if you'd had premises or.
Yes. Yeah. It's I'm really, really lucky, you know, in the setup I've got. It's perfect because it is a self-contained studio, but it is attached to the house, so I can just leave everything and go and cook the dinner if I need to, and then go back to it. So, which is even better. Our previous house, I had a shed at the bottom of the garden, you know, which was all set out as a studio. But even just having to go out there, the children were a lot younger at the time, so as a mum as well, I found that really difficult, you know. And yes, this where I am at the moment is fantastic, and it's also, when we can do it again, I can have customers in, you know, it's set out quite nicely. So hopefully be able to return to that, because it's part of what I do if I'm doing bespoke work, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So picking up on a point you mentioned earlier about sort of makers can be quite a lonely existence. So how's you're part of Artisanry, how's the community kind of helped you with that?
Oh, I think it's amazing. I think it's a fantastic thing, you know, because I've got used to working on my own, because I have done it a long time now, you know, 20 odd years. But that doesn't stop it from becoming lonely. And also you can become very stuck in a rut, you know, you know what you can do, you do it. And if you're not sort of communicating with other people, I think, yes, it's easy just to get stuck in this little bubble, you know. So I think something like Artisanry Co, with their community, with the other makers, with the advice and things that they can offer you and speak to you, you know, just seeing other makers sitting talking like this, it is fantastic, because it does make you realise that you know, you're not the only one when you're thinking, why am I doing this? Like we all do, we all go through it, you know. We all have times where, although I think everybody, of course, loves what they do, they wouldn't do it otherwise, there are times when you think, what on earth am I doing, you know, whether it's because you're not making any money, or you've had a job go wrong, or it's just being able to share that with people that understand. I think it's so important. Especially times like now where, you know, I can't get out and do shows or markets where you have, you know, that one-to-one contact with people. It's for me, it's at the right time, because I was starting to feel quite isolated, I think.
And I guess just picking up on the point about getting out to shows and stuff, it must have been quite hard, because jewellery is something that, you know, you want to kind of touch and feel and look at closely. So, you know, sort of moving that online must have been a bit of a challenge, or have you always kind of had an online presence?
No, I haven't. It's something I've not done. Obviously, it wasn't around when I started, so the only way was doing, say, craft fairs. I've always sold my work in some shops and galleries and things, but online selling was something I hadn't done. Was starting to feel a little bit left behind, like, you know, I really need to get with the times and do this. But because I hadn't done it before, it frightened me, really. The whole social media thing just was alien to me. I've tried really hard, but when I suppose when you've never done it before, it just, for me, it was something else I had to worry about, and I was sort of fighting against it, I suppose. But especially with lockdown and everything, I thought, right, you know, this is the time I've really got to get on top of this. And I find people are great, you know. I think if they're not sure about something, they will ask you questions. And obviously taking lots of photographs is a huge thing with jewellery, trying to show it from all angles and everything. And I just try and speak to people as much as I can, because if I have a customer come to me to do a bespoke piece, I try to sort of get to know them in a way, because like you say, jewellery's personal. You've got to get it right, because it can be expensive as well, obviously. So I think just talking to them, you pick up on all sorts of things, see the way they're dressed, the things they like, you know. So obviously you lose all that, but it's a learning curve for me, really.
You have to adapt as well, don't you? Do you use, so if a customer comes to you now, do you do a Zoom call with them, or is it just a chat on the phone?
At the moment, I haven't done Zoom. It's nobody's actually. It's something I could suggest. Because it lets you get that visual side of things as well, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a really good idea, actually. A lot of it, when you get contact, say through social media, for example, and people have got, you know, an Instagram page or a Facebook page, and I'm saying, well, what sort of things do you like? Well, have a look at this, and I've sort of done it that way, or yes, chatting on the phone. But this is obviously the way to go. It's just getting used to a different way of working, really.
So we do a lot of weddings, and generally we'd have a phone call with couples, but now we're doing it on Zoom, because it's almost like meeting up, you know. It was a bit weird at first, and not everybody's comfortable with the camera on, but I find it definitely helps build up a rapport. You know,
Yeah.
I think when you can almost look somebody in the eye, there's a big difference to having a telephone call. So yeah, it might be something to think about. Obviously different types of jewellery take different amounts of time to make, but if we took a necklace for example, how long from sort of start concept to finished would that process take?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I mean, it does vary totally on what is involved. And I tend to use lots of different processes and techniques. So obviously the design stage, I try to not take too long these days. I sort of learn at the beginning. I'd spend hours and hours drawing and sketching because I wanted to show the customer something that I really thought they would fall in love with, and I'd end up doing reams of stuff which didn't help because one, it took me too long, and two, it overwhelmed them, I think. So I very much learned to hone that down, to spend a few hours, just a couple of hours, designing something that I think I'm happy with. And again, if I've spoken to them and really tried to understand what it is they want. So that's with designing something. And then the making process, I suppose, yeah, you know, a good couple of days, I suppose, maybe. I'm not very good at starting something and working all the way through. I do, yes. I always have lots of different things on the go, especially if I'm working on something very intense. People always imagine that I right, that's it, start it, and I wouldn't. But I can't do that because I find I need to just break away every now and then and just go and make a little pair of earrings and some stock and stuff here and there. Yeah, I suppose on average, from start to finish, maybe 5-6 hours for something big piece like that. But yeah, you can find with some jobs you spend far too long, and again, being a perfectionist,
it's a good and a bad thing, isn't it?
I've not made any money here because I've spent weeks on this, can't leave it alone, you know. I always say that comes with experience, you stop doing that, but no, I've got to be 100% happy with.
Well, that's a good way to be. In terms of if people want to follow you, find out a bit more about you on the normal social channels.
Yes, my Instagram page, I probably use Instagram the most now. I'm sort of getting the hang of it. Kate Coker Jewellery on there. And Facebook, I've got Kate Coker Jewellery page on there. I do have a website, but it's being redone, so there's nothing there at the moment, but I will be doing that. I do use Etsy as well. I have an Etsy shop too, and obviously through Artisanry. Yeah, I don't use Pinterest. That's the next one on my list to have a go at. So yeah, I'm getting there, but yes, you take Kate Coker Jewellery in, I'll come up somewhere.
Brilliant. Listen, thanks very much for your time, Kate. It's been really great speaking to you.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.